Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be discussing the magnificent architecture of the Eastern Roman or Byzantine Empire from around the 4th century until the fall of Constantinople in 1453 AD. So let's get started. First off, we have to admit that architecture during the reign of Constantine the Great was pretty awesome. Just look at the magnificent Basilica of St. Vitaly with its stunning dome in Ravenna. This church was built by the Eastern Roman Emperor between 526 and 547 AD in honor of his friend and fellow ruler of the Ostrogoths, Theodoric the Great. The name of the basilica comes from the emperor's wife, a woman named Theodora, and it is truly a marvel of Roman engineering. The construction of the building took place under the rule of Theodoric the Great, and since he was an Arian Christian, the building was originally intended as a cathedral for Arians. Later though, after the Second Council of Constantinople in 553 AD, which condemned Arianism as heresy, the building was handed over to the regular Catholic Church and has been used ever since. It's a perfectly round concrete dome, 40 meters in diameter, resting on 12 marble columns arranged in an octagon. The central area below the dome, where the most expensive materials were used, was probably reserved for the imperial family. Beneath this large central dome, there are 4 smaller domes. These would allow light into the space through their transparent glass ceilings. The floors and columns were decorated with beautiful mosaics depicting biblical scenes and figures such as the triumph of the church. Next up, we will take a look at one of the most important examples of early Byzantine architecture, the Church of the Holy Apostles in Constantinople. Construction began in the mid-6th century AD under the rule of Emperor Justinian I, but was not completed until much later. It had a square floor plan with rounded corners and was richly decorated with marble. It also contained a gallery supported by horseshoe arches. The church could hold up to 10,000 people and was meant to replace the Hagia Sophia, which had been damaged in the Nika riots. However, the church never really replaced the Hagia Sophia, as the latter was repaired and remained the main cathedral of Constantinople. The architects of the Church of the Holy Apostles were likely influenced by the Church of San Vitale in Ravenna, especially because of the use of a centralized plan. The next example we will discuss is the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem. This church contains the traditional site of Jesus' birth and was built over a cave that supposedly served as both a stable and a house for Joseph and Mary at the time of the birth of Christ. In contrast to most other churches of the period, the Church of the Nativity is subterranean. This is because it was purposely dug into the ground. This way, the builders could preserve the natural cave inside. It is likely that the original cave was covered with a wooden roof before it was buried under the church. In the 6th century, the church was lavishly decorated with marble and adorned with mosaic. Speaking of mosaic, did you know that most of the great Byzantine mosaics we see today are actually fakes? Yep, they were made in the 19th century. They were created to help restore the grandeur of the Hagia Sophia. After all, when the Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II conquered Constantinople in 1453, he ordered all the Christian images and artwork to be destroyed. The original works of art from the Byzantine era can now be found in museums all over the world, such as in Berlin and Venice. Back to the topic at hand, the interior of the church is divided into 3 sections, each dedicated to a different aspect of the Nativity story. There is the area where Mary and Joseph are believed to have stayed, the area where Jesus was born, and the area where the 3 wise men paid homage to him. The church has undergone numerous expansions and renovations throughout history, but it remains an active church to this day. Another impressive example of early Christian architecture is the Mausoleum of Galla Placidia in Rome. Built in the late 4th century, it is a small building with a rectangular floor plan and a flat ceiling. It is notable for its rich decoration with marble, ivory, and gold. The vault of the building is decorated with a series of pointed arches which converge towards the center. The interior is divided into 2 parts, a chapel and a burial chamber. The chapel contains a number of sarcophagi and is decorated with a variety of biblical scenes, including the Virgin and Child, the Annunciation, and the Adoration of the Magi. The burial chamber is more austere but no less impressive. The walls are decorated with a series of golden mosaics depicting Christ as the Son of Righteousness, the Virgin and Child, and the 4 evangelists. Although small, the mausoleum is an outstanding example of early Christian architecture. The use of marble, ivory, and gold, as well as the intricate mosaics, demonstrate the wealth and power of the Roman Empire even in its later years. But speaking of wealth and power, have you ever wondered how the rich Byzantines spent their free time? Well, one popular pastime was chariot racing, and the largest stadium for this activity was the Hippodrome in Constantinople. This stadium was built in the 4th century AD under the rule of Constantine the Great. It was modelled after the Soq Maximus in Rome and could hold up to 100,000 spectators. Chariot racing was a popular form of entertainment in the Roman world, and the races at the Hippodrome were a major part of public life in Constantinople. The Hippodrome was also used for other public events, such as executions, animal hunts, and military parades. It fell into disuse in the 8th century due to the Arab siege of Constantinople, but was restored in the 12th century under the rule of Alexios Komnenos. The stadium was destroyed in 1502 by a violent earthquake. Now, let's take a look at some examples of secular Byzantine architecture. First up, we have the Palace of the Porphyrogenitos. The palace was built by Emperor Leo the Wise in the 9th century. It was surrounded by high walls and towers and included a number of courtyards, gardens, and outbuildings. The palace was richly decorated and furnished with gold and silver. The throne room was particularly impressive and was said to be adorned with ivory and precious stones. The palace also featured a number of workshops where items such as jewelry and weapons were made. In addition to the workshops, the palace also had a number of schools and libraries. The palace was used by emperors until the 12th century, when it was abandoned following the Fourth Crusade. Then we have the Palace of the Bloschini, which was first mentioned in the 6th century AD and was used as a secondary imperial residence. It became the official residence of the emperor after the conquest of Constantinople by the Fourth Crusade. The palace was strategically located near the city's wall and was used as a base for defending the city against attacks. Its location outside the main palace may have been why the Bloschini Palace was often seen as a symbol of the empire's decline. Despite its strategic importance, the palace suffered several setbacks, including a fire in 1118 and damage from earthquakes. It continued to serve as the imperial residence until the Ottoman conquest of Constantinople in 1453. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and make sure to like, share and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and want to see more content like this. I would also like to take this opportunity to say a special thank you to our supporters, whose names you can see on screen right now. If you would like to support us, you can do so through the provided means. Anyways, that's it for me. I hope you have a great day, and goodbye.